Oh, hello there. I didn't see you all here. So, today, let's teach you something. And what today I'll be teaching you is, first of all, let me ask you a question. Did you know that there are 3 ninja techniques for faster editing in Adobe Lightroom? Well, if you knew, thumbs up, and if you didn't, then you have to follow me along with this video so that I can teach you the 3 ninja techniques for faster Lightroom editing. Before you go forward to the video, a sub to the channel would be massive. So let's get forward after this intro. Why would you want to edit fast in Lightroom? What is the reason? So the reason will be, if you take a lot of photo when you are outdoors, or you are doing any kind of photography for that matter, like it can be marriage, or it can be outdoor, it can be indoor, fashion, anything. When you take a photo or you go out for a shoot, you just don't take only one photo, you take a lot of them. So sometimes the compositions are different, sometimes the white balance is different, sometimes the exposure is different. And when you come back, you put all your photos in the computer, then you become confused that which of the photos are good and which are not. If you have 100 photo of landscape photography, so you import the whole bunch in the Adobe Lightroom, you apply this fast edit, then you check out which of the photos come close to perfection or close to what you want them to be, and then you can further tweak them. Or there is another reason that can be applied as well, that you have already taken a photo and you just want to release it to the world on the go. You don't want to spend an hour or 2 hours for an editing session. You just want to tweak the color balance, or you just want to improve the exposure and everything, and just want to post it for the public. So those two can be a good reason for willing to edit faster in Adobe Lightroom. So today I'll be teaching you 3 ninja techniques in Adobe Lightroom for faster editing. Now, number one of them will be to edit in the basic section. Now I will not talk in detail about the basic section because I have already made a video about that. So you can check that out, it will be somewhere around here. So you can check that out. The first ninja technique of faster editing in Lightroom involves the basic adjustment tab, but I'll not talk much about this tab, as I have already made a video in detail about this in a previous video, which I'll be giving the link in the description, as well as it is on the top left side in the I tab. So the first ninja technique will be clicking this auto panel. Now you have to understand one thing, that tapping the auto doesn't fixes everything, but it's a good way to have a starting point, and then you can tweak further for a better result. So here I'll take the exposure a bit, I'll give it a bit contrast and a bit of highlight, trim down the shadow, but again that is my choice, you can take up the shadows as well. I'm taking it down and bringing the whites back, giving it a little bit of black, increasing the clarity, increasing the dehaze, and decreasing the saturation. Now that is up to my taste, but you can change that as well, and giving it a cool temperature. And that's it for the first step. So the second thing will be your curve. If you can see that there will be a panel called curve. Now what curve does, at the extreme left of a curve, that is your shadow. At the middle of the curve, that will be your midtone, and at the end of the curve, or at the right hand side of the curve, that will be your highlight. Now at the left hand side, extreme left hand side, if you turn that down, then it will crush your shadow. If you turn that up, it will increase the visibility in your shadow. In the midtone section, if you turn that up, it will increase the visibility of midtone. If you turn that down, it will turn down the visibility of the midtone. Same applies for the highlights. Now you need to understand one thing, that if you want to give a contrasty image look, you might want to use the S curve, which is turning the highlights up and reducing the shadows down and keeping the midtone somewhere between the middle. So that will give you a contrasty image. Now if you don't want contrast in your photo and you want to give it a bit of a cinematic look, then what you can do, you can turn your shadows up and then you can keep a straight line till highlights. So that will be your second thing, and we'll also go for the example. The second ninja technique of faster editing in Lightroom involves the tone curve. Now you don't have to be intimidated by seeing this tone curve. It is not that tough. One thing you have to understand is that this far left side is the shadows or the darker part of your photo. This far right side is the highlight or the brighter part of your photo. And this dead center is the mid-tone, which is apart from the shadow and highlights, everything is here. So if you want to give it a little bit of a contrasty look, what you can do is take down the shadow, bring the mid-tone over here and take up the highlight, or create a bit of an S shape. It was like this, and now it has a lot more contrast. And the opposite you can do if you want to take down the contrasty look, or you want to give it a moody and like a cinematic style look. What you can do is create a marker here, create a marker on the dead center and take the shadows up. That will give it a faded look or a moody look. That's it for the second step. And the third thing will be split toning. Now split toning, there are a lot of photographers out there and they also edit like fantastically, but they do not talk about split toning. You have to remember one thing, that your creativity comes from split toning. If you want to do a creative signature in your photo, like you have seen of Peter McKinnon, where he uses a kind of a moody, gloomy effect in his photos, bluish effect. If you want to achieve that, you have to use split toning, because your creative signature can be created only in split toning. Now what is split toning? Split toning is giving a dual tone in a color, where for the shadow part of an image you can choose a particular color, and the highlights part of an image you can choose a particular color, and then you can play with the saturation and you can play with the balance as well. Balance means if you turn it down on the right hand side, it will be shadow more, the color saturation will be more for the shadow side, and if you turn it down at the left, I think the color saturation will be more in the highlight section. I may have to check that, don't quote me on that. We'll be seeing the example like just sometimes after, so you can check that out for yourself. The third ninja technique for faster editing in Lightroom involves the split toning tab. Now if you have seen photographers like Peter McKinnon or Mark Dene or other Attilio Ruffo, they all have their particular signature style in color grading their photo. Now that comes from split toning. Now let's suppose that you want to give it a teal and orange look. So you need to give the shadows teal and the highlights orange. So click here, select this teal, click at the highlights and give it the orange. Now change the balance. If you turn the balance towards plus side, it will give highlights, and if you take it to the minus side, it will give priority to the shadows. Now I want it somewhere here, and I want to saturate the highlights as well as the shadows. So it was looking like this before, and after the split toning it has that teal and orange look. Well, so the tutorial ends here, and if you have any query about that, you can write down in the comment. And if this video helps you in any way, please like, share and also subscribe to the channel. More content and more knowledge is on the way.